You are now tuned in to the Gifted Gab.
Now we're rolling.
Recording?
Oh man,
We're gonna do a podcast.
are we gonna do a podcast?
I think that's what I'm here for.
I think we're doing. I think we're doing a podcast.
I don't know about you,
But no, that's what we're here for.
podcast.
My man Garrett, man, this is
Long time in the making.
yeah, long overdue. Long overdue.
Said we were gonna do this like last winter, and then maybe in the spring, and then COVID happened.
COVID fucked up a lot of shit.
Now
A lot
here
of
we
shit.
are.
We're back, man.
COVID's still fucking us around, but we just care less.
Oh man, another lockdown. I'm just like, you know what?
I was thinking about something on the way over here. How many of these conversations have you and I had where there were no cameras or mics?
That's true.
And probably those conversations are going to be a heck of a lot better than the one tonight. But what can you do?
Well, for those of you who don't know, you do have your own podcast. So this is not you just driving in and saying, "Oh, I'm going to be on a podcast." No.
I'm going to be on a podcast tonight. No, yeah, I do have my own podcast.
Hippies and Cowboys.
Hippies and Cowboys. It's this is weird though, like I said, because I'm not used to sitting with somebody and being across the table. You know, ours are virtual, and the couple times I did do in-person ones, we were sitting there with artists who were just sitting back on the couch kind of thing, and they're sitting over there with their guitar, and we just telling stories and shits and
shoot the shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'd play a song, and then, you know, because what we were doing actually for those, we were just cutting individual videos of them playing songs, and we were just going to throw them up on YouTube. And then, like, they were just, because we had two guys in there with their guitars, they were just telling stories and, like, talking amongst each other, to each other and talking to us, and we were all just bullshitting and
a very organic environment.
Yeah, we were just relaxed, like, okay, Cole, it's your turn to, it's your turn. What song are you going to play? I'd type it into my computer. We'd check the sound and shit and then go. And I got up to go into the kitchen for something, grab everybody another beer or something, and I was just like, why don't we just turn the mics on and just let it run? Like, this is the podcast. Like, why don't we just do this anyway? Because we already play music anyway, so why don't we just roll the cameras and...
Well, the concept around your podcast is actually, one, it's very disruptive, and two, it's very, from the music scene, from the angle that you guys come from, it's a very revolutionary idea, because I think mainstream music dilutes a lot of the artistic integrity behind music.
That's, like, thinking about what we were going to talk about tonight, like, that's, like, the main thing that for anybody listening out there to try to understand what my podcast is about and, like, what we're about as a whole. Because, I mean, we're trying to expand into doing other things outside of the podcast because the reception to the podcast has been so great, and we've made such good relationships with a lot of these artists and, like, just people that are going to be able to help you out, that we want to expand into doing other stuff because everybody's loving it so much that give them more content. They're they're gonna consume it, right? So
yeah. You're either a consumer or you're a producer.
For people to understand, like, what it's about, like, yeah, like, I think this exists, like you said, with any genre of music. There's, like, what I will refer to, like, when I referred to the mainstream, what I'm talking about is because country music has a bad rap for a lot of reasons. But, people crack jokes and shit because all they hear or all they know country music to be is either, like, music that their grandpa might have liked, like really old shit that they don't have any real life connection to, and because a lot of those artists might be dead and gone or whatever they may be. or they hear the shit that's on the radio and wherever, or the TV and radio, and it's all garbage. Like you said, there's zero artistic value whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just background noise.
It's almost like it's some kind of like musical clickbait. You know, it's selling this life, and
they turn the music into a product. It's plastic. There's nothing beneath the surface. It's just it's country music's so bad too, because like mainstream country music, because they know they can sell this like weird. They sell like a lifestyle kind of a thing. Like it's like beer and trucks and chicks in short shorts. That's what like 90% of these fucking songs are about, sung by some douchebag in skinny jeans, and like that's not remotely what country music is about or traditionally was about, really. And they also, they pull and kind of steal sounds from other genres to make them more like
pop
culturally relevant. Yeah, that's a great word for it. They like steal, like you'll hear these dudes like rapping over drum beats and shit about country stuff, and it's like, first of all, that's not country music. Second of all, you look like a moron. And third, like you're stealing, like it's cultural appropriation. That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. On both sides.
It's ridiculous.
That's so funny, bro. I didn't really know. Yeah, like as a city guy, we don't listen to country music, so we're not really, our only interpretation of it is what we see in mainstream media.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I don't expect like people who didn't grow up listening to country music to understand that. Mm-hmm. But I think the market for people who would enjoy country music, or like, because we can this. I can sit here and talk for hours. It's like there's country music, and then there's like all this other shit that, like all these subgenres or whatever you want to call them. Like you got Americana or red dirt or Texas country or folk music, bluegrass. Like there's so many different like subgenres that it's all country music, but it's like when people, when a lot of these mainstream outlets, I think, like when they don't want to call something some country music, they just put it in one of these other boxes, and then it's like, oh, I don't have to care about it now, right? So, but like getting back to what I was saying, like I think there's a lot of people out there who would enjoy a lot of this music if they knew it existed, but they don't. So
because the surface is covered by the mainstream,
by all this
acts.
other bullshit.
Yeah, the other bullshit.
So when somebody says, "Do you like country music?" It's like, well, no, I don't like that shit. But have you ever listened to Charlie Crockett? Have you ever listened to, any of these other artists that, no, they're not getting played on the radio, but they're making art. And
that's where you come in.
It's real music.
That's where you come in.
Yeah.
Because your Twitter started as like, what was it? Promote real country.
Yeah.
That's how you started. It still is, right? Yeah. That's how you started. So I think I think that theme is really common, not just in country music. It's common across all genres of music, whether it's rap, because now we're seeing, the glorification of more so violence and a culture, and like you were saying, a lifestyle in rap. I think rock and roll was the same thing for a bit, right? Every genre is like, oh, okay, here's what sells, so this is what we're gonna push, and we know record companies are gonna push what sells. Yeah,
and those executives and sitting up there and just figuring out, they sit there and have fucking board meetings about what do we think, what can we get this guy to sing about that's gonna sell, for his next big festival tour next summer. It's like, that's not fucking music. That's not art. That's a machine.
Absolutely.
Spitting out plastic bullshit.
It's capitalism. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's ridiculous. And like, I was thinking about this earlier, like listening to the music that we try to promote versus listening to mainstream country music would be like the difference between listening to compare it to like a hip hop artist, like listening to like Kendrick Lamar, who's like going to tell you a story. He's going to make you feel something. He's going to make you think about something. He's going to, you know, it's art. It's not, it's not, money, drugs, and women, right? Like that, those same like catch terms that apply to, like I said, beer trucks and girls. Exactly. It's the same thing
parallel,
with just a different genre, right? It's like I said, it's the difference between listening to Kendrick Lamar, who's gonna have some substance in his music, versus listening to like whatever's gonna come on the radio, I guess.
It's tough. It's really hard to, and
there's a lot of lazy people out there who don't care.
Exactly.
That's the other thing.
Exactly.
That's why that shit sells.
Yeah.
Is because there's a lot of people that just don't give a fuck.
And that's the thing about this year has really challenged people to think about what exactly am I consuming? Because if you're not really conscious, I'm so big on being conscious of what you consume. Because if you're not conscious, you're only gonna consume whatever's put in front of you.
Yeah, you don't think for yourself at all. I'm just gonna move this.
It's sheep, it's that sheep mentality. It's like, okay, well, when people talk, I know that some people are lazy and they don't care, but it's like, how do you not have a preference for what you want to put in your brain? Because it's like,
but there's a lot of people out there who like, the reason that they don't care is because they want to look like trendy. You know what I mean? They don't care about, like, maybe they really do like listening to, say they like listening to like something like that's not like mainstream, like jazz music or something, right? They really love to listen to jazz music, but all their friends listen to whoever, like somebody who's got the next big TikTok hit, you know what I mean? Some bullshit like that. So now they're going to go listen to that nonsense and like dress the way their friends dress and like do the things their friends do and listen to the music that their friends do because they just want to fucking fit in, but really they're over here, sitting at home like listening to their jazz records, but they don't care about the substance of this music or any of this other bullshit because they're just trying to fit in with the rest of everybody else.
Sheep mentality, right?
It is.
It comes down to a lot of aspects in life. And I think it's interesting to see that 2020, a lot of people woke up. And for me, like even for me, for the music I even consume, I started to challenge a lot of like, I'm a fan of all types of music. Yeah. Because I like music.
Yeah, exactly.
And you started showing me Johnny Cash and, I started to, I'm like, like music is music.
Good music is good music. And I was just about to say that, like, as we were talking about like hippies and cowboys, because like we started off like it was just going to be something casual, just like, oh, we're going to get on there and talk some shit, crack some jokes and just whatever, right? And then like once you start talking to some of these artists and you start to realize that they don't really give a fuck in a lot of ways about whatever's getting pushed on it. Like, yeah, it pisses them off that this music with real substance isn't what everybody's listening to, but at some point they just let that go and they're just like, well, whatever. Like, I have an audience who is going to buy my record every single time that I put something out. These guys aren't going to like actually spend money on a physical copy of a vinyl record.
They don't care.
You know what I mean?
It's better to have 100 real fans,
loyal followers,
loyal
than
fans,
than
100,000
half-assed ones.
Exactly. Yeah, because that you put something out, those 100 real fans, they like your content for you, for who you are, for what you bring to the table. Those 100,000s are like, I don't like using the word own, but you don't really own those fans.
No.
They're not gonna really support you. They just may enjoy what you.
They might come to your show and like so they can like post it on their Instagram story. I went to the Drake show last night, but are they gonna go buy a T-shirt? Are they gonna go buy a record? Are they gonna go, do that type of shit to support? I mean, Drake's a terrible example. That guy's got so much money, he doesn't even know what to do with it. But you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like in country music, like a lot of these artists are just like road dogs. Like they're out just touring, playing fucking sometimes 300 shows a year. Like fucking, they living on the road. They make their money at the merch table. At their show,
especially if you're signed to a record company, right? And it's like,
well, a lot of the ones we promote aren't signed for that reason, because they don't, once they get signed to the record label and they get inside this fucking machine, they try to change, like the machine tries to change their sound and change their art and strip away the artistic value of it.
And what made it art.
Exactly.
They take everything
and what got them there in the first place.
Yeah.
So they stay independent and try to just, when you think about it, an independent artist is a small business.
It is, yeah.
It's exactly what it is. Like I said, they don't make money. They, oftentimes don't make money getting paid to play that show because they spend how much money on food, fuel, all their shit to get there, all their equipment, all that other BS. Like, they got to pay the merch guy, they got to pay the driver, they got to pay the drummer, they got to pay the bass player. There's a lot of mouths to feed for a traveling musician.
Mm-hmm.
They make, like, getting paid to play the show might cover the cost of getting there and setting up.
Yeah.
Now, like, everything else is going to be, okay, I've really connected to somebody in that audience, and they're going to go over and buy my record and buy a T-shirt. But I want to go back and just to, like, where I got sidetracked. But, like, what we started with, like, when we started Hippies and Cowboys, it was, like, just basically to bash all this shit in the mainstream. And, like, crack jokes, and because that's still fun. I don't care what anybody says. and it's oftentimes it's like way too easy too. It's way too easy.
I imagine it's much easier when you're talking shit about fucking mainstream country music, because I look at, like, because that's the only representation we have. You're just like, look at these idiots.
I know, man. Yeah, well, we think that too. Don't worry. Like I said, that's how it kind of started.
What the hell is this? Like,
yeah. Well, it's whacked out, man. But where was I going with that? It's important. Like, the mindset now has changed. Like I said, after you kind of get to know some of these artists and some of these people, and you just learn that it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't give a fuck if somebody's gonna go listen to that shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I know they're not worth my time anyway. Now, At first, I really didn't. I was like, I'm gonna change that guy's mind. But now it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, go listen to that shit. Like, it's no skin off my ass, honestly. Like, but so now it's like went from country music to now it's like just good music in general. Like, we've had artists on there who call themselves a rock and roll band. That's fine. We've had artists on there who are, like, primarily influenced by blues music and R&B, but they play, like, essentially like a twangy version of that or whatever it may, like. And a large chunk of these, like, Americana artists, like, that's kind of the big, like, catchword for country, like, non-mainstream country music, Americana. A lot of those artists, and like, this is the definition of Americana that I use, because there's some artists that reject the word Americana. They're like, no, I'm a country artist. Like, it just gets fucked up, because it's like the artist might have one idea of what their sound is, and they're like, I'm a country singer. Mm-hmm. But everybody else calls them Americana, and they just reject that. When, like, what difference does it make? Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just like, what difference does it make? It's good music. Music. If your music's good, I'm going to pay attention.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's changed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, like, the way to go about it.
And I think that's you just appreciating the art more.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you trace music back, the influences are all kind of similar. Mm-hmm. The influences, the same people that influenced country music also influenced
blues
soul music, blues music, R&B music, rock and roll. It all kind of, as you go further,
they all started
further back,
somewhere. Yeah, it all started somewhere.
So it's like, at the end of the day, especially if you've actually played an instrument before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you have a different type of appreciation for music. If you actually, like, you can read sheet music.
Absolutely.
You understand tempo. You understand the nuances of what goes into a record. Mm-hmm. Or let alone, not even just a record, maybe just an acoustic. Like, whatever. When you understand those nuances, it's much easier to appreciate art. And people used to look at me, even sometimes now, even my brother will look at me and be like, your musical palette is very strange. And I said, it's strange because I'm just a fan of music in general. And when you come from an art background, which I don't consider myself really an art background, but I did play instruments. I did sing in the choir. I did a lot of shit that had to do with music. So it made me appreciate a lot of like anything, you know, like music's music. You know what I'm saying?
I find like because I don't play guitar well. I can a bit, but like I'm not gonna sit here and play this song. Like it's not. I first of all don't have the confidence in myself to do that, and second of all, I'm not that good. I can't do it. Like I try, but I just enjoy like playing around with it and trying to teach myself, basically. When you've attempted to try to teach yourself how to play an instrument, you have a whole new appreciation for sitting there and watching somebody like that video I showed you that night of Billy Strings.
That shit was fucking amazing.
Like, no,
it's unbelievable.
Like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that in my entire life. That guy is more talented at playing the guitar than I will ever be at anything I ever attempt to do, no matter what it is. But like you could sit there and watch that, and anybody can watch that and be like, "Oh yeah, like that's impressive." Like he's, finger picking is amazing, and like he can, his speed and just like wow, like that. Yeah, that's impressive. But like after you've like tried to do something like that, and after like you've kind of trained your ear to like hear not just see, but like hear the little shit that he's doing, it's just like wow. Even though I can't play the guitar myself, but I've listened to enough music and like watched enough, musicians like that's on another level. And that other artists will say the same thing. Like there's certain players that are just on another level.
I was like really about to tie it back to basketball. I think when you've actually played basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody can sit there and say basketball is easy, but it's like.
It's not.
No.
It's not. And that's kind of, for me personally, I can only take Twitter, social media in very small doses because when I started seeing the basketball opinions, I'm just like, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about,
There's one particular podcast in general that I'm not. No, let's not go there because I'll get on a tangent.
What podcast? A basketball podcast?
Yes. But I just see like clips of it and shit on Bleacher Report, and this guy's a fucking idiot, man.
Who is it?
And I can't think of the name of it now. I swear to God, if I open up Bleacher Report right now, I could probably find it.
My favorite basketball podcast is Ball Don't Stop. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
That might be the guy.
The brown guy.
Yeah, that might be him.
Oh, I love it.
He's a moron.
No, he's amazing.
No, that's wrong.
He's the best. He's the best basketball analyst.
Some of his takes are
amazing.
Shit.
No, his takes are amazing. Because
this dude said you don't have to be in. What the fuck was it? It was something about playing defense. It was like you don't have to have good individual defenders anymore. It's like, it was like something like, come on.
Individual defenders to what? To win a championship?
Yeah, he's like, you don't have to have good individual defenders anymore to win in the NBA. It's like, that's entirely not fucking true.
Not really. A good team defense, yeah.
Yeah, a good team defense can only get you so far. When you're playing against James Harden every night or Kevin Durant, LeBron James, I'm saying like you're guarding these fucking spectacular offensive players. You got to have somebody on your team who can step up and fucking guard that guy for 40 minutes.
Yeah, but even if you guard James Harden, you're not going to stop him from scoring. He's still going to get 35 every night.
Yeah, okay. You can fucking try your best to contain him at least with somebody who can actually play defense.
It's few and far between. We haven't seen many guys stop James Harden.
I just see the clips of that dude. I've never listened to an entire podcast. I just see the odd clip of him, and just like some of them are okay, and then some of them just like that's horrible. I don't know.
Especially his takes. It's a brown guy. He's a Canadian guy.
Yeah, that's the dude.
He's from Vancouver.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, some of his takes are ass.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant takes. The things he says about Kobe.
Like I said, I haven't listened to too much of him. I just see some clips and like I only remember the ones that piss me off.
I think he's brilliant. I think you know why his background. If we're talking about the same guy,
I'm sure we are.
He was a basketball trainer.
Yeah.
So he played the game. He knows. He dissects the game from a skill standpoint. You know, how hard is it to the hardest shot in basketball is probably. One before let me see. Make sure it's the same guy, man.
I'm positive it's the same guy.
Think about how hard it is to
too far gone.
Shoot a baseline pull up. You know, that's probably the hardest jumper in basketball to nail. You know, but I think the way he looks at the game, he looks at it from an individual skill set dissecting standpoint.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's the guy, right? Yeah, I like him. I like his takes. I think he's the best.
I'll give him one thing. At least he's not as afraid to say some shit that people like me might get mad at.
Because you got to look at it like this. A lot of the podcasters,
like I said, I only remember the ones you get pissed off at. So
it kind of ties into what you were saying about music, because we look at First Take. Right?
Yeah, dude.
First Take is purely what's the
Those
word?
guys just get on there and say egregious shit just to get clicks on the internet and just to get viewers on their show. The only reason somebody's going to tune in and watch that shit at whatever time it comes on, it's like 1:30 in the afternoon. I mean, that's out here, but like, those guys just sit there and scheme up ways to like argue with each other, and who can say the most outlandish thing. They just one up each other.
Yeah, Max Kellerman talking about freaking Kawhi. Kawhi is more clutch than Kobe.
No. The worst one is when he said he wanted Iguodala taking the last shot instead of Curry. Who's taking the game-winning three? Iguodala or Curry. He's like, I'm taking Iguodala. It's like, no.
No, see, like stuff like that. But that stuff is kind of like it died. Like we were saying about music. It's to sell. It's to get the clicks. It's clickbait.
That's exactly what it is.
And
just
it's
get
like,
eyeballs and ears on it.
Exactly. So when I see a guy have a take like ball don't stop, I'm like, okay, this guy is really. He's looking at it. He's analyzing. And then the other thing is like, you go on Fox
It's well
Sports.
thought out. It's not just, he's not just sitting there talking out of his ass.
It's well thought out.
I get it.
Because when you look at, okay, let's go over to like Fox News and Cal and Coward or what's the guy's name? Nick something.
Oh, yeah. Nick.
Fucking
the bald dude. And then he got hair all of a sudden. He was bald forever, and then just one day he just had hair.
I forget his name. That guy drives me crazy.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Nick Wright.
Yeah.
Nick Wright.
Their takes are all, egregious takes. They're stats guys, you know. And I think stats.
Yeah, the analytics get. Yeah, it skews a lot of people's opinions on shit. I think. I think analytics are so accessible to people now that they just take them and run with them a lot of the time without having any actual knowledge of how to play the game. It's like personal experience.
Context, man. Analytics don't lack context. You can give analytics any context you desire. So you can
there's a stat out there to back you up
for anything
somewhere.
So and then the analytics will tell you that I think I say this on every podcast. I truly think that Kobe was one of the best. I think he's the best player to ever play basketball.
Very well,
but the analytics won't say that.
No.
The analytics will never tell you that. Because people will look at the analytics and say, oh, well, he only averaged 25 points a game for his career compared to LeBron, who averaged 27.
Percentage. I mean, field goal percentage is one that's just like, that one's always felt dumb to me.
Well, yeah.
No matter what. Like, yeah, it's great to... DeAndre Jordan has a great field goal percentage. Is he better than Kobe, Alex?
You know what I mean? So it's like... like, stats lack context.
Yeah, definitely. Like, hard numbers lack context.
Especially when you get into the true shooting percentage and I think you got to look at how does this player perform when the stakes are high, when it's you are shooting 2 for 15, 2 for 16.
Yeah, and you still have the confidence to pull up and take that shot
and hit it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the stat sheet at the game says you were 3 for 16. But
you might have got the key bucket down the stretch to put your team over the top.
Stats don't account for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I like Ball Don't Stop, man, and and he's a podcaster too. I like that podcasting is so decentralized that anybody can start a podcast. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody has to give a fuck about what I say either. You know what I mean? Nobody has to give a fuck about this conversation.
Absolutely not. But some people tune in.
Exactly.
And
apparently some people like it.
Hey man, I just I like to. I'm just having fun with it. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, I don't think we both anticipated where we were gonna be at. I never anticipated making a studio and like merch and I didn't anticipate none of that shit.
Me either.
But
like I said, it was gonna be a hobby, just something fun where I could sit there and like crack some jokes and talk some shit, whatever. That was it. And then we got our first guest. Excuse me. And that was really fun, and people really liked it. And then we're just like, well, I don't know, maybe we should get more guests. Should we get guests? Like, I guess. Sure.
Why not?
And then, you know, I don't know. It's easy. Like, it sounds stupid because it's not, and it's a lot of work, and you have to. It takes a lot of like
trial and error.
Trial and error is the big one, and it takes a lot of fucking real estate up in your mind too. Mm-hmm. At least for me. I don't know how you feel about this.
For me, yeah, it does.
Like, I work a full-time job, but my mind is on other shit. Yeah, like a lot that other shit, like probably more than my employer would like. But it and that can get exhausting too sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I'm been experienced like just like kind of even the last like 5 days to a week have kind of started to like get out of that, and I'm kind of starting to feel relatively normal again. For a while there, you know, especially you know, when you got a lockdown, like because of COVID and shit, and like because I was on 2-week quarantine after I got back from Kentucky, and then I thought I had COVID for a couple days, which I didn't. I just ate a bad chicken burger. Sounds so fucking dumb.
It reminds me of college, yo.
Sorry. Do you imagine if COVID would have happened, we all lived in that fucking house, like all 5 of us? Like, fuck, man.
Oh my god.
But like when you're locked down like that, like I had nowhere to go. Couldn't go to work. You know, you're just fucking sitting at home. You get awful tired of looking at the TV. Mm-hmm. And I had plenty of shit to do for the podcast, and I'm building a website for us. I'm doing, you know, I'm on the phone with people trying to network. I'm, you know, reaching out about guests, sending emails, trying to get sponsors, trying to do this, editing the show itself. Like, it just stacks up. Like, it stacks up in a hurry, and it's like, you know, it sounds fucking stupid because, no, I don't have to do that. I'm not getting paid to do that. I mean, you can get paid from sponsorships and shit like that, but nobody's telling me to do that. No. It's all my own motivation to do such a thing. Mm-hmm. Like, really, if I didn't feel like doing any of that shit, I'd just fucking quit tomorrow. Yeah. And that's the end of it.
But there's something cool about...
But it's fun and you care, but like, I guess where I was trying to go with that from the beginning was like, it does get exhausting, you know? And a lot of people like don't understand that, and that's why it's fun to like talk to other people who like do some kind of content creation, because they kind of get that in some way. If I went and said that to, you know, one of my buddies who like just, you know, doesn't do that type of shit or barely goes on social media kind of thing, like they're not going to understand. They'll be like, well, then don't do it. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's just not going to register in the brain. Like, it's just like, yeah, man, like, fuck, like, you know, just kind of tired, like kind of just worn out from like doing this shit like staying focused on it, and like just
it's exhausting.
It's work, but it's like, I mean, it's self-inflicted work, but like they don't get that because they're just like, oh, then don't. It's like yeah, I guess, but
well, it's also like, you know, you as a podcast, like I don't think people realize how it looks easy.
It does look easy.
To sit in front of a mic and
start talking. Like, you and I could have this conversation over dinner just as easy if there's no microphone.
Yeah, but I don't. It's with everything, and this is like the whole social media thing. Everything looks easy on social media. Everything looks easy on the internet. Yeah. Everything looks easy on Facebook.
And basketball too. Like, we can connect it to basketball too. If you're on the team, but you're not gonna go and spend extra time shooting or getting in the weight room or whatever it may be.
Looks easy.
It does look it looks pretty fucking easy.
Yeah, and I think
it can be easy, but you may not be successful at whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think, you know, when you take the courage to kind of say, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna put myself out there, I'm gonna strategize, I'm gonna try to do something different. You know, podcasting is not still very relatively new. Yeah. In the content creation world, you
Definitely.
know, the YouTubers, they were there.
Yeah.
You know, the obviously music independent artists, they were doing this for a long time, but podcasting,
writers, you know, blogs and shit like that.
There's no
right way to do it.
Yeah, there's no right way.
It's just like you said, it's fucking trial and error. That's the first thing we say is trial and error.
Yeah. And and that's why I like, you know, for me, anybody that starts a podcast, I have a different kind of appreciation for them, because I know exactly what goes into podcasting.
And you have a lot of questions at the start. How many times I hit you up, like when we were about to start this, is like, what do I do? You're like, well, man, you plug in some mics and you start talking.
Yeah, I know.
I guess.
And even if you come into it without that kind of mentality, you learn very quickly that you need to come with preparation.
Yeah, what works and what doesn't. Like if you're going to sit there and you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody, or even if it's a little more like interview based, like, you know, like talking to some of these artists, like some of them come into the conversation. I'm sure you probably have this too, like with the different types of people that you talk to. Some people will come in and they'll have like the shield, I call it like the interview shield up. So like, and especially with artists, because some of these fuckers are trained to like, they have publicists and PR people who train them how to answer questions.
Absolutely.
And in a lot of cases, they know what the questions are going to be before they do the interview. A podcast is entirely different. So some of them come in super like apprehensive, like I said, they got this interview shield up, and they're like, you know, it might take you anywhere from between like 10 to 20 or 30 minutes. Like really depends on the person and the situation and how the conversation is, just to fucking break the ice and get them to like even lower it halfway. And then when you got them down here, now we can have a fucking good conversation. You know, like me coming in here and sitting with you is
different.
There's no
two
fucking
podcasters.
Shield.
Yeah,
there's no shield because I'm used to talking into a mic, and you and I have known each other long enough and fucking sat here, like I said, had these stupid ass conversations for years. So there's none of that. But like that's fucking difficult sometimes because getting that shield down,
it's an art,
is work. Like it's hard. Like there's definitely a certain way to do it, and like I'm lucky because I have a co-host. I mean, you do too, but for some of these you don't. With the co-host, like both of you can kind of play like almost like good cop, bad cop a little bit, and be like he's gonna crack some jokes, and I'm just gonna try to keep it serious, like not keep it serious, but just like bring it back in, so we can crack jokes. Then we can get too far out here. Now somebody's got to come back and bring us back to, you know, ground zero. Like now let's get back to the conversation.
It's an interesting dynamic because you're always dealing with personalities. It's different personalities, and depending on, you know, if you're doing it by yourself, you're doing it with a co-host, the way those personalities might react to your personality.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be able to think on your feet.
You never know.
You never really know. You know, so podcasting is not for the introvert. I mean, I think the introvert.
I was very introverted. I felt like you probably don't think I'm like
I don't
introverted.
No.
But I in my own head think I'm like at least before, or still do think that I am a little bit introverted.
Can you go from being extroverted to introverted? Is that a thing?
In some situations, yes. I think anxiety has a lot to do with that, though.
You think so?
I
feel like I've become much more introverted the last couple of years.
Right.
I've been so much more at peace just being alone with my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy for people.
Me too.
But I'm super extroverted.
Yeah, I am too. Like if my buddies or whoever, like if I get invited out to go for drinks or something, or, you know, just go be social with people, like I want to go. I'm good. You know, I'm probably going to go, but there's definitely a voice in my head that wants to just sit there and
stay home.
Stay the fuck home. And, but I would enjoy that probably just as much, but yeah, I don't know. That's a fucked up question, man. Like it is. Cause I think people go through waves of either one. I think I do anyway. Like right now, after sitting here and being isolated for so long, like tonight, like, you know, I didn't have to come do this. I could have like made an excuse or just been like, nah, man, like I'm not feeling it. But it's like, why not? Like I haven't sat here and done this with somebody, regardless of whether there's mics or not, in so long. Like, yeah, I crave like human interaction at this point.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, like, and I mean, you know, pandemic.
It's been a weird time.
Regardless of the pandemic, I do think people kind of go through waves of like extrovert, introvert. You know, what's the word, extrovert? How do you use that as a verb? I don't know. But like, yeah, I think you kind of can swing back and forth between those two things.
It's been a really, really weird. It's been a weird year, man. You know, I think it's been eye-opening for a lot of people. I think it's a very conscious awakening year that people have been a lot more. I hope that people come out of this pandemic and they're a lot more intentful, you know, with the things they're intentional is the word, not intentful. I just made that up. Intentional with the way,
It's a made up word.
the way they carry their day to day and the things they choose to do and the things they choose to embark in. You know, I think for someone to say, "Hey, I'm going to start a podcast," which I've seen a lot of new podcasts have popped out of this pandemic.
Oh yeah,
and
I
I like
had
that.
nothing better to do than sit at home and talk
You know,
to strangers on the internet.
and then guys like you're coming up on your 1 year.
Yeah,
You know, it's been
that's cool.
It's sick. It's a sick feeling to know that you stuck with something for 1 year.
Yeah,
It's a very like reaffirming.
there's a lot of external reinforcement that goes into that. You know, if nobody was listening, you know, probably would I still be doing it? That's a good question.
Mhm.
You know, if nobody was listening to your show, would you still be doing it? Do you think?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Right? Like,
that's a good question.
There's a lot of like, and like I said, strangers on the internet. Would your mom tell
we're
you?
so desperate. God, we're fucking pathetic.
Oh man.
Look at what we're doing for some
You know, we're
strangers,
sad
to entertain
fuckers.
strangers. But it's some real shit. But it's like,
It's
you know,
true.
it's I don't know about you. I fell in love with kind of the process and how stuff unfolds and seeing, you know, something. This, I think you can attest to this. Whatever it is that we were doing started with just an idea.
Yeah.
You know, and everything, and this is what I've realized is that everything starts with a thought.
Yeah.
You know, so that in order to, you know, put out stuff that people will fuck with or stuff that you like or stuff that is life changing, it all just starts with an idea.
Yeah.
Right. So, but in order to have the ideas that become, you know, things like this, you gotta have good thoughts. You know, if there's nothing but negativity in your brain and, you know, junk, like listening to freaking mainstream country music and you know what I mean? It's really difficult to really sit and say, hey, I want to do something that's maybe disruptive, maybe it's motivating, maybe it's you know, maybe I want to tell my story, maybe I want to tell other people's story. You know, it's I don't know, man. I find that I'm most at peace when I'm just in this process and figuring shit out. You know, and we're not chasing perfection, but we're just trying to be better than yesterday.
I'm legitimately happier too, because I have something to kind of like work on outside of, like, I think a lot of people get like caught up in like a fucked up cycle of like going to work every day, come home, cook supper, kick back, watch TV, play fucking 2K, like whatever it is, like just and then wake up the next day, do it again, and or like go to class, like whatever it is that they're doing. They just get caught up in like cycles. And I think when you're doing something like this, you can't get caught up in a cycle because, you know, I got an interview at 3:00 on Monday, and then, you know, then I got an interview at 7 on Thursday. Like, it's different times of days. Like, it kind of doing something like this. Like, I'm not thinking about anything else that's going on outside of this room right now. Like, this breaks that cycle, and now I can sit here for however long we're going to sit here and just focus on whatever it is that we're talking about, or whatever I have on my notes here that I want to make sure that we talk about, or whatever it is, right? And I think that's done wonders for my mental health, honestly, because I don't have to, you know, I don't have to get caught in those cycles anymore. And like,
those cycles are vicious.
That's what makes people, you know, I think that contributes to a lot of, you know, depression and anxiety, like, for people, you know.
Cycles. Yeah.
Cycles.
It's tough, man. Society will freaking society will break you if you don't have something outside of like what society offers you to hold on to. I feel like, you know, I think society constantly, especially when you're seeing your peers and the things they're doing, and you get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses, and society has this vicious way of making you feel inadequate if you're caught up comparing yourself, or you don't think you're living up to your parents' standards or whatever. Like,
exactly.
Society will do that to you, and then what usually tends to happen is people start to hover around 23 to 28, and they feel that anxiety of creeping up on 30, and they start to be like, okay, you know, I need to, you know,
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
start to get that's a real thing. You know, some of my
absolutely,
friends, some of my friends used to tell me like, if I'm not at X by the time I'm 30, I'd probably kill myself. And I'm like, that's a terrible way to think.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
especially,
exactly.
like, you know, I always like my point of reference for everything is Jay-Z, and when he came back to music, he had a song called 30 something, and in the song he says, 30 is the new 20. He just came out of
It's true.
the rap he already been doing rap. He already did it at a high level.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the corporate thing, and now he's reinvented himself in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And I take that and I'm like, yo, you know, that's all life's about. It's just constantly trying to reinvent yourself.
There's a lot of examples out there of people who were just late bloomers. You know, like another one, like another musician, like Willie Nelson. Nobody knew who Willie Nelson was until that dude was like 40.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, don't quote me. It's something like it's not like he just burst on the scene when he was like 20, 25 and he was just an instant hit. That dude like grinded away for a long time and nobody gave a fuck.
Nobody's ever an instant hit, man. Like anybody that I feel like anybody that comes out the gate and is killing it, you know, I look at somebody like Tekashi 6ix9ine. You know, someone that was doing all the antics to do everything to get all the attention.
Just getting attention. He's just trying to grab attention.
He's just trolling.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is, what positive, negative, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just trying to get those eyes on him right now.
And now it's like, okay, you were what? You're...
Yeah, look at you now,
look
dumbass.
At you now. Like, all of this was for what? You practically sold your soul for what? For attention?
I guess.
You had a peak for what, 2 years? Like,
the
that's not
hair.
sustainable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing.
Another really good example of this, and I mean, say what you want about him, like, he's kind of controversial too, is like Dave Portnoy, the head of Barstool. Like, that dude, like, fucking handed out newspapers in a subway station for how many years? And then, like, basically built now, like, what did he just sell Barstool for? Like, he sold, like, whatever. I don't know. He sold some of it to some company. Like, he's a rich fucking motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think he's in his like late 30s and he's like living the good life now. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people, because that dude like had like a decent job. Apparently he was making like, I think 6 figures, like selling some kind of bullshit, quit that job to do Barstool Sports and went on handing out free newspapers in a subway station.
Damn.
Just, you know, that's pure passion for what you want to do, and like pure like talk about the level of like confidence and like ability to like believe in yourself.
Yeah.
At that point, to quit this fucking job, and everybody's saying like, "What are you doing, dumbass?" And he just like goes like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna." And I mean, like I said, he's you know, he's controversial in a lot of ways, but say what you want about him, that dude grinded his whole 20s, and I mean. Grinded, like it gets back to what we're saying, like, no, it doesn't sound easy, or it sounds easy. This guy's doing podcasts and dressing up and going to football games and shit, but like put in the work and like built now what is an incredibly successful media company. Like,
it's amazing.
It's wild.
It's amazing, and I find it inspiring. Like,
and he's a good example of like just a dude who fucking turned a passion into something that is now. He can live off of that passion.
Yeah.
Just off of pure fucking, like...
drive. Focus.
Yeah, like...
determination.
Ignorant determination. Like, just like, fuck everyone else. I don't care who's going to tell me, you know, what way I'm supposed to fucking do something, or what I'm supposed to say, or what I'm supposed to do. This is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way, and if you don't like it, then too fucking bad, I guess.
I admire that
right?
shit. I admire that, you know. I think that's so admirable for someone to shut the rest of the world off and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to find a way to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, those are the guys who do something significant in the world.
And that's what ends up that's what resonates with people too. Like, that's a big reason why, you know, at least, like, I'm not saying, it's not like I'm making money off what we're doing, but like the reason that people like to listen to us, or the reason people like to listen to you, is because they just feel like they're sitting and listening to their friends having a conversation in a room. They feel like they know me. Mm-hmm. They don't know me. Like, they've never met me in their life.
Yeah.
But they, you know, they have a connection to me because I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to talk the way you and I would talk if there was no mics.
It's crazy.
You know,
I actually last week, I don't know if you heard of
people like that.
You ever heard about that new app Clubhouse?
Mm-mm.
It's a new app. It's a chat room app. People can come in and have talks, and just there's rooms of people talking about stuff.
So like Reddit,
like Reddit, but voice.
Oh,
it's all voice. Yeah,
weird.
So you can come
it's
in.
like voice memo, like voice text message. Like I could sit here and say like,
it's not like messages. It's just people talking. Some people are muted. It's like a Zoom call without
creepy.
the video.
Weird.
So I was in this room. Me and Andre were doing like a gifted gab thing. Just for trying to use the app. It's fun.
Right.
If you guys are on Clubhouse, holla at us. We're on there. And then there was a girl in there from LA, and at the end of the talk, she's like, "Oh, I've actually listened to you guys' podcast before. I was looking for something and I stumbled upon it, and like I just wanted to let you guys know that you're, And I was like, damn, someone like I've never met this person. She just strolled into the room and was listening to us talk and stuck around to let us know that, she messes with the pod, and it's like
that's cool.
It's super it's super cool.
It's weird. It's a weird feeling when the first time that somebody would was that the first time that somebody's ever like just randomly came up and said, "Oh yeah, I have listened. I've listened. I remember you're the guy from where."
Yeah, it's not the first time, but it was just like I kind of forgot.
I mean, you're on Sport Check ads, so you probably get that a lot. You probably get that. You're the guy from the Sport Check ad, aren't you?
Yeah, I've gotten that a couple times.
But it's weird though. Like when we went to Kentucky and we were at those shows down there. Like we had people come up and say like, "Oh, you're the Hippies and Cowboys guys." It was like, "I love your podcast."
It's cool.
What?
It's really cool.
Oh, and then like some of them I recognize too, because like they'd be tweeting anything we put out there. They're interacting, like liking, retweeting, answering us, talking to us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Like some of them you recognize. You're like, "Oh yeah, like dude, you're Zach, right?" Like, then now you have. I mean, we're just like instant. Do we just become best friends? Like one of those moments. Just like, "Oh yeah, dude." Like I already. It's weird because on my end too. Yeah, I'm the guy that they're sitting and listening to, but I already kind of feel like I know that guy too. Mm-hmm. Even though I've never met him.
It's a sense of community.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, a sense of community.
Yeah, that's why people like this type of shit, because it is a sense of community. There is a sense of community.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing that you can kind of talk some shit and somebody somewhere you never expected, will stumble upon it. And, and it might resonate, and it resonates with them. And I think that's the power of creating content, man. It's that you can reach so many people in so many different ways.
Just by being who you are. And
that's the important thing.
Being normal.
That's the important thing. And you mentioned the Sport Check thing, and that's really what really motivated me to start podcasting, because I felt like the modeling industry is cool, you make money and stuff, but it lacks zero context of who I am as an individual.
And no substance to it.
No substance.
You just get what's on the surface and that's it.
Which is cool. It's very reflective of my, my
your good looks.
my sex life too. But I had this appetite because I liked doing this shit. Like, what I'm saying? Like, imagine, coming and playing, and I playing with a bunch of guys I never met. Some of you guys are from small towns. Some of you guys are from the States.
Yeah, like that's what was cool about university. Like, that's something. I mean, that's probably a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. You and I could probably sit and talk about basketball for a couple hours at least.
At least.
But like, yeah, that was cool. That was the cool part about, being part of a team, regardless of how basketball actually went, like regardless of whether I went out and played 40 minutes one night or if I sat on the bench all season or whatever it may have been, like, it was just cool. Like, it wasn't really about the basketball at the end of the day. Like, looking back on it now, like, I was bitter about basketball for quite a while, honestly, because it just didn't go the way that I, in my head, thought it would go all those years. Like, oh, next year's going to be the year. Like, you just have this thing where it's just like, you think you're going to be some basketball star and do that for a living because that's your passion at the time.
Yeah.
But then, like, it ends, at least for me, like, ended kind of abruptly because I got hurt. And then it was just like, well, what now?
Next? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But you have to have an uncomfortable conversation with yourself.
Yeah, but I was bitter about it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like that whole next year, I didn't go to a single fucking game. Even though guys would text me like, "You coming to the game tonight? You gonna come watch? You want to come to practice and just like come say hi, like that kind of thing, like sit in on practice and watch or something?" I was just like, "Fuck you!" Like no, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to be near it. I didn't go in that building, except to go to class. That was it. You know, I was fucking mad at the world. You know, but once you get over that, you know, and how to get over that is basically just realizing it's just like I said, it's not about the basketball at the end of the day. You know, the friendships I made with people who I never, ever would have met or even considered having a relationship with if it weren't for basketball, that's like worth way more than any, like say we did win a championship, like cool, I got a fucking medal that I can show my grandkid, I guess. Like who gives a fuck, like honestly. You know, and I mean some people take offense to that because it's like they did win a championship and that's really, you know, near and dear to their heart. I get that, but it's just like I said, it really wasn't about the basketball, was it? That's kind of the conversation I had with myself. It's just like, well, you know, like would I have ever got to meet and live with like guys from Seattle or Baltimore or, you know, Indiana or whatever it was, and like learn from other people too is a big thing. Like being from a small town of, you know, 1,000 people on a good day, it's like you're used to knowing everybody and like knowing their extended families, even their brothers, their sisters, their parents, their grandparents, you know. So coming to the city and going to school, like, first of all, that's a whole
experience
like
in itself.
culture shock in itself. As you're walking into the school, I'm walking into Concordia and I'm like, holy shit. Like I've never, you know, been around this many people except for when I go to like a sporting event or something like that. Just first of all, the amount of people who are just around is weird.
And the contrast with a bunch of people who that's the norm for them. You know?
Yeah, exactly. They're looking at you like, okay, hillbilly, like what's up? As I'm walking in, I'm like just wide eyed, like holy fuck, like, you know, your first day in college, and then like, I mean, yeah, you get used to that and shit, but it's just like, and then on top of that, like then going to basketball practice. Okay, now I got to go in there and like compete for a spot on a team with all these dudes who like do not give a fuck who I am. I'm some rookie from whatever Alberta, like somewhere that they don't care to even go to ever in their life. You know what I mean? Oh, here's some bum from a 1A school who's, you know, like I said, they don't give a fuck where you came from. But it's just like now I have to go in here and like try to like connect with these guys in some way and like be a team.
And put everything aside, chase a common goal.
Try to compete for a spot on the team, like and while you're trying to compete with people at the same time, you want to like build a relationship with them. So it's like you want to show that you are competitive and have like some kind of
edge,
you know, that, yeah, like an edge, like that killer mentality kind of thing. But at the same time, you want to like, you know, go for wings with this guy after practice, right? It's weird.
It's a weird dynamic, but it teaches you how to operate,
how to interact with people. Yeah. And like I said, like I think the biggest takeaway is, first of all, yeah, the relationships that you make with those people, and second of all, the different like I don't know how to even put this, like you can learn so much about the world by learning somebody else's experience in life. You know what I mean? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, like putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, definitely. Being empathetic and being, you know, just fucking understanding that there's something, there's more to the world than what you just know in your own little head. You know,
it's crazy,
which is surprisingly difficult for a lot of people.
Imagine that, you know, you didn't play basketball, you don't get that experience.
Exactly.
You know, and it's and that's one of the deep.
That's where the bitterness went away from me. It was just like, okay, like look, grow up. You know what I mean? Like honestly, grow up. You know, you're a better person for meeting those people and hanging out. Like I said, it wasn't about the basketball at the end of the day, you know, looking back on it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, regardless of your successes in basketball, you now have so much more to take with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know,
that's just priceless, man. And it's like, you know, with the state of the state that the world is in right now, I think a lot of the time, like, yo, imagine if just everybody got to play sports.
Yeah.
You know, at a level where they would be exposed to other people.
Yeah.
A lot of the problems in the world that we are dealing with right now are eradicated because you're exposed to so many people.
Because a lot of people like try to stay in their little fucking bubble, exactly, and they never want to go out of it because either they're scared or they're like I guess just you know, have it in their own heads that something about being outside of their bubble is wrong, or they're scared, or they're just like, or they're straight up just like too dumb or like too lazy to not at least look outside of their bubble. They can stay in their bubble, but if you don't even look outside of it, you just close your eyes and stay in your bubble, then fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's a rough life.
It is very rough. And I that's why a lot of times, you know, I think sometimes, you know, smart people, being smart can be a curse because you become so understanding to why someone could be so ignorant, or why someone could hold such a, you know, such a malice for somebody that looks a certain way. It's because their hate comes from ignorance and fear of the unknown. You know, it's just really just
ignorance and inexperience. I think is the big one. Like, there's a reason, like, regardless of like, you know, regardless of like race or your upbringing or, you know, your social status or whatever it is, like it seems like there's this, like I think like universities and colleges are getting a bad rap because everybody says, oh, they breed liberal ideologies and stuff like that. But it's just like the people, and you went to college and now you think a certain way. Well, it's just like, call it like, the classes in my university didn't make me think a certain way. That's just shit that they're giving you the curriculum and you're free to fucking take what you want from it. What opens your mind about going to university is exactly that. The time you spend sitting in, like, I mean, we were lucky because we got to play basketball. The time that we spent going to parties and sitting in that living room and just like watching TV, watching movies, sharing stories, doing that type of shit, right? But for the average student, like, that time might be spent, you know, sitting in the cafeteria or
studying.
Yeah, study in the library, sitting and just like visiting with new people and like learning new things, right? That's what changes people's minds about the world.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I said, we were lucky because we had basketball. Yeah. And that forced us to do that. What I have, like I said, going back to like what I said about how I think I'm an introvert, like the sheer like anxiety of going into university on that first day, you're like, I don't want to talk to any of these people. You know, I'm scared of being judged. I'm, you know, like, they're going to think I'm, you know, they're going to judge me based on where I'm from and stuff like that. But like I said, we were lucky we had basketball to just kind of force us in there. Like, here, buddy, like, dive in, make friends, motherfucker. Like, but would I have went and like just like sat down at a table with some people, just like, hey, you guys mind if I study with you? No, I would not have done that. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now, and I can promise you that I would not have done that unless somebody like asked me to come. Like, I would never invite myself into a situation like that. Yeah,
which is understandable. You know, but
but some people can do that really easily. Some people can just like walk up, like, you know, I'm thinking of one person in particular, like, you know what I mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You can just walk up and be like, hey, man, like, just like, hey, do you know that guy? Like, I think so. Okay.
But it's interesting, man. My dad dropped out of school at 13, and he said the biggest thing you get from school, this is a guy who didn't go to school, so the biggest thing you get from school is not the education part. It's the social part.
Yeah.
You interact with people that you never will come across. You will talk to a bunch of people that you will never talk to in your life. You're in an environment where you're constantly exposed to different people from different backgrounds. That's the biggest thing you get from an education, from school, from this type of stuff. And I'm like,
having to go away, like that's big too. Like you think about the people who maybe went to school in Edmonton who'd never left Edmonton in their entire life.
Yeah.
They have never fucking left Edmonton except for when mommy and daddy take them on a trip to Mexico every year. You know what I mean? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Right? Those, like, I mean, to me, those are, like, the worst kind of people. Because they've never had to leave. They've never been forced to leave. They live comfortable. They just go to school every day. They come home. They live at their parents' place. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But it's when that becomes, like...
Your bubble.
Like I said, it's the bubble. Like they never have to look outside of their bubble. They just got fucking horse blinders on. They go to school all day. They just live inside their little
box,
their little box. And
I think the biggest life hack, and I think you can attest to this too, is leaving your hometown. You know, when you leave your hometown and have to go somewhere else. And, and
that's step one. Leaving
out.
Step one. Step two is putting yourself in those situations. Of social interaction with new people, with different experiences, with different upbringings, with different ideas about the world. Like I said, I could have moved up to Edmonton if I wasn't going to play basketball and went to school. I would have went to class. I would have interacted with maybe a few people if they were in my fucking group, or if I sat beside them every day or whatever it may be, and that was it. I was going to go home and like go back home every weekend to go like see my friends or whatever it may be, like hook up with friends who I knew were also living in the city. I would not have like I said, I wouldn't have been the guy to walk up and, like I said, there's two steps to it. It's, okay, you leave your hometown, now what? Are you just going to create your own little bubble in that new place?
Or are you going to try to
go in
other
people's
say
bubbles? Fuck bubbles and, exactly.
Yeah.
See some different shit.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I'm fortunate to be able to come out here, man. I think leaving Toronto for me was so crucial. You know, because I always go back and I see, damn, you know, where would I be if I just stuck around here? What would I be doing if I just stuck around here? Where would my mentality be if I just stuck around here? You know, and even like the American guys we played with, you know, what would their mentality be if they stayed in their hometowns? They came to another country, you know what I'm saying?
That's a whole nother trip.
So it's beautiful how things kind of figure themselves out in a sense. You know, you take the initiative, you do the things and put yourself in the situations, but life is just a funny thing that nobody has a manual for. And you kind of just have to figure it out as you go along. Kind of like a podcast.
Yeah, kind of like a podcast.
Life is like a podcast, man.
There, quote. Look at the camera.
You can take that. You guys can take that. Life is like a podcast.
Life is like a podcast.
Man.
But people can, like, it's tough. It's tough to not judge people for staying in their bubbles. But some people, you know, some people don't have a choice to get out of their bubbles too.
Yeah, circumstances, right?
Circumstances play into that. So it's easy, you know, it's easy to say, oh, you never went out of your bubble, like you're an idiot, you never went to college, like you don't you know, because like I said, I think people who never went to university hate, like that's where a lot of that hate that comes from, is because they think that we look down on them because they didn't go to university. I don't look down on you because you didn't go to university. I just don't want you, and I'm not going to, unless you fucking look down on me for going to university and say that I, you know, university fucking brainwashed me or something like that.
That's the funniest shit.
I know, but it's real.
Yeah,
it's real. People fucking think that, and it's like,
bro, I'm the same as you.
No, I'm the same as you. I just fucking went and hung out with a lot of different people. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's basically what it is. But like I said, and that's where, you know, if there's a level of respect from them where it's just like, oh, you know, that's cool. It's the ones that like, oh, you know, you went to university and now you're brainwashed to think a certain way. It's just like, well, motherfucker, really. Like then now I'm pissed at you. now we're on the same level here, and now I'm gonna like say some shit back. But at the same time, like if they're just being, you know, normal about it, it's just like, I think like I wish everybody had the opportunity to do that, just to like we were talking about this entire time, just experience some different shit.
Experience everything comes.
Because it would change a lot of people's minds. I think any type of hate,
especially
could be completely, like you said, like just it would go away if people simply had the opportunity to spend some time with some different people.
Yeah, it's crazy
outside of their bubble.
Because university actually kind of gave me I didn't know that Canada was such a crazy place before we were alive, and like the history of Canada, like that for me was the eye opener.
Right.
And because you always think that it's just America. America's the culprit. But
definitely
university showed me that no, a lot of places have their hands dirty. A lot of places are fucked up. A lot of places have a very, very.
I was a history major.
I know.
Yeah.
So and it gives you different levels just of understanding to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Well, you think about. It affects you in a way that it makes you consciously think about it, even when you're not suspecting it. Like you're out somewhere and you see something named a certain thing, or you learn the history of a certain place, and then you go to that place and you see the way people behave, and you're just like,
makes sense. Makes a little bit sense.
Get it, I guess. Yeah.
It gives you a lens to look at stuff with, you know what I mean? And you know what? It also gives you this skepticism. It gives you a certain skepticism that you look at things and you're like, okay, why is this like this?
Here's what I'm getting on face value now. What's the fucking what's
underneath it?
What's underneath? Yeah, exactly.
And that for me is the if we were talking about, when people talk about brainwashing, not about brainwashing, is that university is an environment where things are dissected and dismantled. So very rarely do we take anything for face value. Yeah. And that's a good thing, Yeah. It's good because I can see a pyramid scheme from a mile away, but I can also look at, what I'm saying? Yeah. But I can also look at, okay, how did this business come to be like this? Or what was the economic circumstances that allowed for these businesses to pop up, or this person to take advantage here? And it actually makes you grow an appreciation for shit. You don't just appreciate shit at face value anymore. Yeah. You appreciate shit for, the depth of it and understanding of it. So I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have an education. It's one thing as my children of me and my brother, children of immigrants, for them it's an opportunity that my mom always said she never got to have that opportunity. So for me to graduate and shit, she was living vicariously through me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my mom's similar. Like, she dropped out of school and she was like 15 or 16 or something like that. Just went to work because it was like, her family grew up not wealthy. Like, so that was always something like growing up that she said, like, no, you're gonna, if you want. Like, it was never like, no, you're gonna go to college. It was just like,
you knew that's what she wanted.
Yeah, she would have. But if I didn't want to, if I wanted to just go to a trade school and be a welder or something like that, take a trade, that she would have been just as happy with that. But it's just like she wanted me to, she wanted me and my brother to have the opportunity to do it and like
make the choice.
Yeah, exactly. But it was always, it was definitely like you said, it's something. I'm sure that she wishes herself that she could have done, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful, hey, man. And, we got to just kind of do what we can to kind of leave a legacy that not only we could be proud of, but our people could be proud of, which is why, doing a podcast or being this, or even like having a noble job, whatever it is, you want to be able to look back on your life and say, for me personally, I'm always looking back and saying, I think I made my people proud with everything that I was doing. I did some shit that people enjoyed, that people looked at and it made them smile, it made them happy, made them laugh, made them think about some shit. That's something to be proud of. And when you put yourself out there to do something like that, You have the opportunity.
That's one of the most rewarding things about doing the podcast with it, because we play music on the show and like introduce people to new music. The coolest thing is when somebody says like, oh, I listen to this artist now because I heard him on your guys' show. It's like, oh, like sweet, because that feels good for two reasons. First of all, you made an impact on that person just by like me showing you that, and then it makes me feel good too because the artist is going to benefit now, because next time that artist rolls into their town or is within the vicinity, they're going to buy a ticket. They're going to go to a show. They're maybe going to buy a T-shirt. They're going to buy a record. You know, they're going to stick. There's mutual, like everybody benefits there. You know, the listener, myself, because it's just like that's cool, makes me feel good, and the artist now benefits because they're going to make some money and get to share their art with that listener.
And that's all it's about, man. It's about sharing the art. Art. Hippies and Cowboys, guys. Make sure you guys check it out. You know, let them know where they can let them know where they can find you.
Anywhere you can find your podcasts, and soon coming to YouTube. We're gonna start putting video up, so that's cool. It's gonna be hippiesandcowboys.com. Waiting on the domain name. I gotta purchase that. Somebody was using it, and then like they only had like one page up. Like they obviously like bought the domain name, went to make the website, and just never did anything. So I like DM'd him. It's like, hey, can you like let us have it? But yeah, hippiesandcowboys.com. That'll be, I'm sure maybe even by the time this is out, might be up. I don't know. Otherwise, like go give us a follow on like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, mostly Twitter. That's where we do most of our yammering on about the country music world, I guess.
You guys heard it here first, man. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
You know, I don't think that's acceptable in COVID times, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, right?
You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Share this with your auntie, your grandma, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And just like that, we gone.